All right, what's up there, everyone? My name is Chase, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite SEO tools for 2020. And this is a live stream. I try to do most of my videos live, so if you want to check out more live streams to interact with me while I'm live, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe and the bell icons. You can get notified when I go live. But either way, what we're going to do is we're just going to go over a list I made. I made a list about 60 different tools. About half of them I use, half of them I don't. I'm going to be talking about the most important tools I use and whether or not I think that you should use them. And I also include some stuff about what I use for my setup, what I use for streaming, and then also some stuff that I just do as a daily routine for like my health, that kind of thing, to keep myself sane, because it is kind of hard to stay sane sometimes when you're doing SEO. So let me switch to my screen share and welcome everybody who's in chat right now. All right, so here we go. This is my Facebook page. We can just ignore that. And we're going to go over to the post. We're just going to go over the different tools. And you can check out these tools in the description, and you can also download all these tools. You can download a list of them just by clicking this button if you go to the link. All right, so let's start out with the favorite tools. And before I talk about these, let me just say that it's very important that you take what I'm saying and use it not just for the sake of making money, but also for the sake of really trying to figure out how to help people, because everything that you do should revolve around helping people. If you can't figure out how to, actually use these tools to help the end user or even just help people in general, then you really shouldn't be spending your time using them. So either way, let's just go into it. Now, this list isn't ordered from greatest to least. I just kind of made it, and I will talk about the essential tools as well, but let's just talk about some of the tools that I use usually once every month. So Screaming Frog is something that I use a lot, and the reason why I like Screaming Frog a lot is because it lets you crawl a website, and it gives you a bunch of information that you can use to really get an overall perspective on URLs on an individual basis. So one thing that I've done is I've actually set up a template, and I'll put the link to this template in the description, but you can see here I actually am able to crawl URLs on a website and order all of the different important elements so that I can export all of this and put them into a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet is really just so I can start mapping these keywords and get an overall perspective on what's going on with these individual URLs. And as some of you guys probably already know, I do this a lot in my other tutorials, in my Screaming Frog tutorial, my National SEO tutorial. I talk about how to use this, and you can see here, like, this page is ranking number 6.35 on average for Rust console commands, which is a gaming keyword. Gets 97 clicks per month, about 3,200 impressions, a 2.9% click-through rate. And I can look at all this other stuff as well, like what the duplicate content percentage is, what the keyword difficulty is for that keyword, what the bounce rate for that page is, what the conversion rate is, average session duration, the word count, the backlinks, the inlinks, the crawl depth, the outlinks, the title tag lengths, the meta description, all this stuff that's very important to look at. And I'll actually be doing a tutorial pretty soon here, a live run through of me doing this for a client that I just got. I sell these audits phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 for about $800 to clients just for the audit, not the implementations. It only takes me about 3 or 4 hours to do at the most, and it's really easy, not easy, but it's pretty easy to learn, and it's something that you can provide to people that'll really give them a lot of value. So let's go to the next tool. Ahrefs is also a very good tool, and it's something that I sync up with Screaming Frog so I can pull different UR ratings, which a UR rating is really just looking at what that page authority is based off its links. But if we look at Ahrefs, we can see a lot of really cool data. We can track our websites. We can see how they're doing. So if we get a client website, we can put it in here and see. This is the gaming website I just showed you. You can see it's getting a bunch of extra traffic. And I can actually click into this and I can see all the keywords that it's ranking for. I can look and see the competitors based on the keyword overlap by going to competing domains. I can use it for a lot of keyword research purposes and tracking purposes, which you're not going to really get as comprehensively from most other tools. So Screaming Frog and Ahrefs are my two tools that I would recommend buying no matter what. There's a few others if you're going to be doing some other stuff we'll talk about in a second, but Ahrefs and Screaming Frog, both super good tools. Screaming Frog is worth about, I think it's $150 a year. Ahrefs is anywhere between like $97 to $300 a year. I usually go with the $150 a year, per month, $150 per month plan. That's what I usually get for Ahrefs. Google Sheets is free, of course, and it's what I use to track everything that I'm doing. It's very important to, benchmark what you're doing so you can see in the future, what you're doing and how that's going to affect when you re-benchmark what's going on. All the different stuff you worked on. So you can leave notes in here and say, let's say, the click-through rate's low. You can leave a note and say, well, I changed the title tag and the meta description. And when you go and re-benchmark this stuff with the combination of Screaming Frog and the Search Console stuff, you can actually see if this went up or down. And if it did, then you can pretty much exactly attribute that to what you changed. And that's really cool to be able to show clients. It's a way to be very transparent and track what you're doing. Same thing with over here. If the bounce rate's really high, you can go and say, okay, well, I changed the page speed or I changed the layout. The conversion rate's low, you can say, well, I added an opt-in with MiniChat, so we started getting more opt-ins going in. So again, if you're confused with the 4-phase system, I would definitely go check out my National SEO Guide because it does explain this in more detail. And what's up, everybody? And Chad, what's up, Big Daddy? What's up, Morales? What's up, Augie? What's up, Max? And I'll answer questions at the end. So if you have any questions, just let me know in chat, and I'll try to answer them at the end of this. So let's go back to here. SEO Audit Template. So obviously, I'm going to recommend my own SEO Audit Template, especially since it's free. I try to make it free. I used to sell it because I wanted to make money, but now I just try to help as many people as possible. And this template that you're looking at here is all 100% free. So you can use every single one of these. You can take it to a client, audit their website, and you have it all laid out for you. And I actually heard from a few people that they went on Fiverr and they actually got an audit. They bought an audit and people were giving this audit to people. So, if it's good enough for Fiverr, I guess it's good enough to get for free, right? So I would go check that out. It will also be a link in the description for you guys. All right, so let's go to the number 5 and 6, which is Google Analytics, Google Search Console. So obviously there's a lot that you can do in these two places. Google Analytics is great for looking at user data, looking at where people are coming from, getting an idea on what your conversion rates are. Just overall, a very good thing to have. If you don't have Google Analytics set up, you're going to be dead in the water. And sorry, it's not set up on this account, but if you can't set up Google Analytics, then that would be the very first thing I would recommend setting up for yourself and for your clients, because this is going to give you a lot of information that you're going to want to use and you're going to want to extract with Screaming Frog so that you can do these optimizations on an individual page basis. You want to be able to see all this stuff. Same thing with Search Console. This is going to show you all of your click-through rates. So the way we actually do phase 2 is we look at the individual pages based on the Search Console data. So if this page is ranking for, let's say this is the best keyword, then we want to see the clicks, impressions, click-through rates, and positions for that keyword and matched up with the page. And the way we do that is we just go into the page and we click on the page and see what it's ranking for, and then we map that to the page on phase 2. That's sort of how you can bypass not having this information in Google Analytics, because in Google Analytics, you can't really see the conversion rates or the bounce rates for a keyword, but in here you pretty much can. Obviously, it's not for just that keyword, it's for the entire page, but it's a lot closer than you'd be able to get by not having that information. All right, so Cora would be another one, and this is one that I just recently reintroduced into what I've been doing, and I'm not actually insanely up to date with this tool. I actually just started talking to the creator of it again, and the only reason why is because my tool that I created a while ago, Bench Marketer, it wound up crashing a lot, and even though it worked, I couldn't really spend the time getting a developer to work on it in the way I wanted them to, and so I sort of started kind of pairing up with Cora again, and I will leave a link to this in the future for you guys to use, an affiliate link if you want. And and what we're going to be maybe thinking about doing is actually syncing this up with a new system that I was trying to do with my other tool, but wasn't able to because, again, the developer was kind of flaking on me. So we'll talk about that more in the future. But Cora is ideally kind of what we're talking about here with getting all the averages, except for it's an off-page basis, not off-page in the sense that it's only links and that kind of thing, but it calculates averages off of Google and gives you an idea on what you want to put on your page. So one other thing is, by the way, guys, if you want to see any tutorials on any of these things specifically, let me know. And if you can, leave a comment either on YouTube or on this blog post, or both, because it will help me get more publicity on these different pages just by having user-generated comments. So the more you guys interact, even just in live chat, if you just say, hey, thanks in live chat, it actually does help this video get out to more people. So any type of engagement you guys can give, most of you guys aren't going to buy stuff from me, so which is I'm totally fine with, because I try to give out as much free value as possible. But if you're not going to buy, totally would appreciate it if you guys just left a little comment or a like on the video or something like that, because it is going to help me out a lot. Either way, let's go to the next one. So call tracking metrics is super important because you want to be able to track your conversion rates offline. Most people only track their online conversion rates. So when you look at something like my website, you'll see that I get a good amount of conversions on it, but most of those are online conversions. And I don't actually track offline conversions because I don't really advertise my phone number a lot on my website, so I'm not too worried about it. Most of my conversions are just people opting into like my MiniChat or my email list or whatever. And when that happens, that's sort of my conversion. That's what I'm focused on. And I can actually see in here if there's anybody converting yet. Looks like we just got 2 conversions, and that's actually for the people opting into this this list. And but for local sites, it's very important. We're actually going to be working with a new client, the one that just bought my my 4-phase audit for $800. They have a local roofing website, and if we can't track people calling that website, that could be about 50% of leads that we're not seeing. And if you can't see your conversion rates, like let's say these were all local pages and these had all 0 conversion rates, or let's say they had a 1% conversion rate because they're just people sending messages through the form, but there's another 50% calling through the website. Well, we're not able to track that. And the cool thing about call tracking metrics is it'll actually sync up with Google Analytics, and it'll show you right here that you actually have a 4 or 5% conversion rate because of your calls. And if you can't show that to a client, that's a big problem. So you want to be able to show those conversion rates. And Squarespace is a content management system that I use a lot. I like Squarespace just because it's easy to use. I rank all kinds of sites with Squarespace. I know a lot of people don't like it, but even let me think. Even most of my local companies, so like my iPhone repair company, my SEO company, I have a couple web design companies ranking #1 locally, and they're with Squarespace websites. And I even have national companies ranking as well. And I don't think that it's necessary to have a super technically correct website in order to rank. I think with Squarespace, you do lose a couple little technical things that you can't implement as well. But in the long run, the accessibility and the easeability of using Squarespace is so easy. Obviously, if you have a lot of needs like that are more robust that you need WordPress for, totally fine. But I like the fact that if I don't know a lot of web design, that I can use something like Squarespace to get an advantage of being able to just put up a page without needing to worry about it. And I'll give you an example. One page that I'm ranking right now, I have a website called blackandwhite.ninja, and it's actually ranking very well for a bunch of keywords. You can see this is a national website. It's only got a DR of 1.7, but it's ranking for 1.5K organic keywords. It's actually bringing in about 6,000 visits a month off of Google. But WordPress would be my other choice. Again, the only reason I like to use Squarespace, just so easy to put stuff up. You don't have to worry about as much. GoDaddy is what I use for buying domain names. It's just easy to use. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me, but if you're going to buy domains, I think GoDaddy's the easiest, and I think SiteGround's probably the best for hosting if you're going to use something like WordPress or some other content management system. Discord I like to use because it's a way to communicate with people over voice chat and do screen shares, which is really nice. It's an easier, more updated version of Skype in my opinion. We have a Discord server. If you get the checklist, or if you get anything off of this video, you get the downloadable version of this list. You'll actually also be able to get this Discord channel that you can hang out into, get updates, whatever, and you can actually go in here and actually talk to me. Sometimes while I'm live, I'll just be hanging out. Another thing we got is Facebook groups. So Facebook groups are great because you can communicate with people, get ideas about what's going on with SEO and whatever you have a problem with. You can ask people questions. I think one of the reasons why I was able to learn so much early in the beginning was because I actually I spent a lot of time in Facebook groups and just in groups in general. I used to be in Google Plus communities back when that was a thing, and so I think Facebook groups are great. We have a Facebook group called White Hat SEO is Dead, and I would totally check it out. It's got about 20,000 people in it. People are very willing to help, and it's just a good place to be around like-minded people. I also use something called Streamlabs, and Streamlabs is what you are seeing here. This is a software that you can use to switch between scenes. You can do cool stuff like this, and be right back, and this kind of stuff. It's just a cool way to kind of automate what you're doing while you're streaming. And if you're not streaming, here's something that I need to talk to you guys about. Tip number 30 is anything that has to do with video. So if you're watching this and you're not doing video, you're not doing live streaming, you're really missing out. Two of the biggest opportunities I think right now are getting your videos in front of people and using those videos to really kind of make your content more rich. And one of the reasons why that article is ranking, the one on the Squarespace site, is because I actually was able to make a video for it, and so the average session durations, the bounce rates, and the dwell time and the conversion rates are so much higher because video is added. I'm going to be adding this video into this post so that I can not only get a advantage on YouTube, but I also get an advantage on Google. And you're hitting multiple platforms like Google, YouTube. You can also repurpose the video to Facebook. So you hit like 3 platforms just by doing video and by adding the live stream element to it. For instance, people able to talk and chat. It's so cool. People get such a kick out of it because it adds transparency. It adds the ability for people to really see the real side of you. And it really shows that you're willing to help people. I think if you can start incorporating some sort of live setup, and I will be talking about all the different things you can use for your live environment. If you want to start making streams like this, the one I have right now, it's not incredibly difficult to do. You could get away with a maybe $100 setup and start doing live streams like this, and really start bringing in a lot of clients and start bringing in rankings and views and all kinds of stuff that would help you, but also it could help the businesses you're working with, because if you start helping them do this stuff and you lead by example, you show them how to do it, they're going to want to stick around because they can see that you're not just an SEO guy. You're also somebody who's willing to put yourself out there, and you want to put their business out there as well. And shout out to Chris Palmer in chat, because he actually does videos as well, and I would check out his channel if you guys have a chance, because he's got some cool stuff on there. And anybody who has a channel, feel free to comment in chat if you're in here, because I'm all for people doing video stuff. We actually just had this guy come into our SEO group. His name is Chad, and he just started doing live streams. And I'm like, look, I'm going to make this guy a moderator, because how cool is it to have people start doing video and start sharing who they are, instead of just kind of like, I don't want to say that people are scared, but I do want to say that, you're not helping people as much by staying behind the keyboard, not putting yourself out there, because people are going to relate to you differently than they relate to me. And so the more people we can get doing this stuff, the more we're helping people. So I would recommend that. Next thing we got is MiniChat. And MiniChat's pretty cool because it just gives you the ability to stay connected with people. The open rates are so high. I use MiniChat for getting people to opt into stuff. So like, for instance, if you guys wanted to download this checklist right here, this is going to get you to go to MiniChat. It's going to get you to communicate with my robot, and my robot's going to say, hey, name, if you want this checklist, please leave a comment on this post. And then you're going to go leave a comment on the post, and then it's going to respond with the checklist. And by doing this, you're actually getting people to opt in and see your content later. And it's one of the reasons why you can start getting people to engage with you, because again, as I told you guys, most of you aren't going to buy from me, and that's totally fine, but you don't want to limit yourself from helping people just because they won't buy from you. You want to be able to help as many people as possible. And part of helping as many people as possible is being able to get them to opt into something that you're giving away, and then trading them for engagement, because that engagement, as you guys know, the more you guys engage on this video right now, the more this is going to get dispersed. Even live, if you guys are engaging with this video live, commenting, subscribing while I'm live, liking the video, even sharing the video, what's going to happen is it's going to disperse algorithmically to more people. So even though I'm not getting paid by you guys, what's happening is you're actually helping me help more people. And so MiniChat's just a way to get a leg up on that and kind of keep people around, keep trading them value so that you can help as many people as possible. Snapchat's great as well because it's just another environment that you can use to do what we're talking about. It's a little bit more manual, but it's what we're using for our adult entertainment website. And we got thousands of people on Snapchat that, you're just sending them a swipe up. You say, hey, swipe up on this post and go check it out and leave a comment, and people will go do it. And it's just another way to get people to get instant messenger type messages to people in a very quick amount of time, and it's a way higher open rate than email. I don't even use email anymore. We'll talk about that in a second. I don't use email marketing campaigns because I just think that the open rates are so low. However, I do use something called Pitchbox, and what Pitchbox does is Pitchbox gives you the ability to reach out to people based on who they are, based on what their blog looks like. So here you can see I have a VA actually doing this for me. You can see here I send messages out, or I have a VA send messages out, and what we ask people for every month is we say, hey, we're trying to make a list to help people learn how to do SEO audits. We want your top tip for SEO audits. We want your top tip for auditing a website, and we're going to share this with our audience. And so here we go. They say, if we could choose only one thing to improve our website, we would choose page speed. So they put all this content here, and you end up getting a bunch of tips. And this is actually how I was able to rank a website #1 for beginner phishing tips just by using this method. Because the thing is whenever you start coming up with list-based type stuff, even just this tool list, people are usually more likely to share what you're doing. They're more likely to link to you. They're more likely to endorse you because you're just giving them free value. You're not really taking anything. Usually when you start doing like complete guides and that kind of stuff, it's usually filled with more opinion type stuff. I mean, obviously this is opinions, but people like lists. People like things that they can quickly read, that they can quickly take to whatever they're doing and just use those things to improve what they are currently doing. And so when you start doing these expert roundups and you start bringing people in, you really get a lot of really good tips that you can just use for your content, and people love that stuff. It ranks well. It's basically free content, and Pitchbox is expensive, but you can use other tools as well that are less expensive, like BuzzStream or Ninja Outreach. I don't use those because I think that they are I don't remember the first tool. It's not BuzzStream, but I think one of them is Ninja Outreach. I don't use them because they're not as robust. They don't work as well, but even if you just reached out to people manually, I used to do it with Scrapebox as well. I would scrape URLs, I'd find contact forms, I probably have some old tutorials of me doing it, and I would actually just contact people through their contact forms with like deCAPTCHA systems, and I would get tips that way as well. So there's all kinds of ways you can do it as long as you're trying to get people to contribute. And again, as I said in the beginning of this video, I mean, the whole point of what you're doing should really be to try to figure out, how can I help people? And if you're on a local level and you want to start bringing in clients locally, and you're like, well, what's a list going to do if there's national people looking at my website? All my clients are just local. Like, I sell lawnmower services. Well, think about this. What if you started creating a checklist for all the things you need to know about, getting your first lawnmower? You put that into a national guide that ranks. You start capturing traffic by saying, hey, download the checklist. Now, all these people who are downloading the checklist, you say, hey, I just would like for you to leave a review or a comment on this post I made about my company that's doing something new locally. Well, now you're getting all this endorsement from a national level to a local level. But the problem with most people, again, is that they're thinking only about sales. They're thinking only about money. So they forget that, yes, by helping people on a larger level, thinking about people in general, you end up getting more authority locally. And by getting more authority locally, you get more clients. That's really what phase 4 is about. Anyways, if we go back into the next thing, we have Writer's Access or iWriter. This is just for getting content written. If you don't have people writing your content, you write all your own content, that's going to take a lot of time. So I recommend using something like Writer's Access, where you can hire writers based on reviews, based on what niche they're in, based on, there's all kinds of criteria that you can get. Or iWriter, if you don't have as big as a budget and you just want to hire off of like 20 to 30 people they have writing in there. It's a little bit sketchier, but one of the articles I actually have ranking that's bringing in about 6,000 visits a month was from iWriter. I only spent about $200 on it. It's a lot more hit or miss. Writer's Access, you're paying about double, but you're getting good stuff because the people who are writing for you are usually pretty qualified. Google Forms is great because you can start bringing in people who are looking for an audit or looking for something that you're giving away and you want to qualify them somehow. So like, for instance, I'll give away SEO audits to people who are qualified. And what I mean by qualified is that if you have a certain amount of traffic and I can see a lot of potential working with you, then I would give you a free phase 1 audit. But for the most part, I'm going to try to sell people audits that are all 4 phases for about $800 because I know that that system that takes me about 3 to 4 hours is really going to be able to help out a website just from an audit perspective. If they want help with a implementation, if they want help with implementations as well, obviously, I'm going to try to upsell that after I do the audit. But the whole point of an audit is really to give people the ability to go fix it themselves if they want. And if they need the extra help from you, then you're there to help them. But for the most part, you want to try to get as many people into your funnel as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is start offering something for free if the person's qualified. And what I mean by qualified is if they match your criteria. So in my forms, I'll say, what's your budget? What industry are you in? What kind of traffic do you have? And so if somebody, let's say, has a $2,500 a month budget, and let's say they have over 20,000 visits going to their website a month, that's going to be something that I could probably go into my system, in my phase 2, 3, 4 system, and I could be like, well, I can see that for these URLs here, all your click-through rates are at 1%. So I could probably just change title tags on the website, boost the conversions by 2%, 3%, maybe even 20%, maybe even by 100%. There's been websites that I've gone in and by the next day their conversions are up 100%. And that alone could be worth $2,500 to that person. So obviously I'm going to take that as a client. Now, if somebody says, hey, I want a free SEO audit, they have no pages on their website, it's a brand new domain, and they're just looking for help, then that's probably not something that I'm going to work with unless they're looking to buy services from me. So that's why you should have 2 different steps and give away things that are free to people who are qualified. How are you guys liking this tutorial so far? We got a lot of people in here, and I appreciate all of you for joining. Welcome, Max. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Helen. Welcome, Kenny. And again, I will answer questions at the end of this video. If you guys can, please leave stars next to your questions so that it makes it easier for me to go back through chat at the end of this video and just look at your different questions. What's up, Truth Seeker? All right, guys, let's continue through it. So we're at number 18. Number 19. We just covered Google Forms. We got about 10 more things that I use on this list, and then I'm going to be covering the things that I don't use, the things that I don't that I've used in the past, but I no longer use. And again, guys, I've used a ton of tools in the past. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on SEO tools. I actually had Chad the other day, yesterday. I was on the phone with him, and I was asking him. I was like, hey. Or he was asking me. He said it was really funny that I was just going in and buying a tool for like $80 and just be like, well, let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll just refund it or whatever, or I'll try to get a refund. It's because there's so much on the market right now that it's so much easier to just be like, well, instead of trying to figure out all this stuff and review and read all the reviews and whatever, I just like to buy the tool. I just use the bulldozer approach. And for instance, if it doesn't work out, I don't get a refund. Well, whatever. It's just part of my learning tuition. And I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars with this mindset, going in and buying tools and spending a bunch of money figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So this list really is probably at least a $50,000 list of my learning tuition in tools that work for me and tools that don't. And just because I say that they work for me doesn't mean they're going to work for you. So remember that. Again, as I said in the beginning, if you're using this and you see in a week or 2 weeks or in a month that you're not actually helping anybody and all you're doing is just using this for a ranking or for money or any of that stuff, drop it and you invest in things that are going to help people as much as possible. All right, so next we got Google Trends. So Google Trends is pretty cool because it gives you the ability to look and see what's trending on Google. Most of you guys already know this, but if I type in something like, SEO, I can see how that compares to something like social media. And this is really just based off search rates. This isn't really based off, this isn't actually based off a lot of data, but social media marketing, we can actually see that SEO compared to social media marketing is a lot more popular apparently. And then we can get some ideas on things that are showing up more. So you can see social media marketing conferences are becoming more important. And you can see if we look at them that they're actually about a 98 sometimes versus just the term social media marketing in general. It's kind of cool. I've been able to find some keywords that were trending in the past. It was actually one of the ways that I was able to find the keywords, how to send money in Snapchat, because a lot of people are looking that up when I looked up Snapchat. But it gets a little bit overwhelming, and sometimes it's just not good enough data. The way I do keyword research really these days is I like to just go on to something like Ahrefs and kind of just look up some sort of something that I feel like I can help people with. And for instance, like SEO Tools 2019, if I look that up, or let's say 2018, maybe we don't have enough data for this yet. You can see for best SEO Tools 2018 is about 200 searches. So if I rank for it, I'll get some searches. But one thing that you do want to think about too is that just because you're doing a search, you're looking up a keyword and it says 200 searches, doesn't mean that's how much traffic you're going to actually get. There's a lot of keywords that I've been able to rank for that have only 200 searches. Some have 0 searches. If I look up the keyword SEO Roadmap Template, it's on Ahrefs and on Keyword Planner, it says 0 searches a month, but I get thousands of clicks for that keyword. So again, when you bring it back to being useful and creating resources for people that you think are going to enjoy, and you don't think about it just from a Google perspective, you think about how can I help people as much as possible on multiple platforms like Google, maybe YouTube and Facebook. When you do it that way, you end up usually able to rank for related keywords and you get a bunch of different clicks for something that you wouldn't normally think that would have any traffic. So if you can just start thinking about it that way, spend a little bit less time thinking about keywords, but still they are important if you can look at them. One thing I like to do is within my templates, I like to see what the Ahrefs page value is, the page rating, and then I'll compare that to keyword difficulty. Most of the time when you create really valuable pages, a page will end up ranking, and what you can do is you can take whatever that top keyword is that page is ranking for, map it to your your phase 2 benchmarking, and then go reassess what you're doing based off all that data. But still get an idea. I like to still go in and I'll do some things like go into the Content Explorer and look up like SEO tools and see who's ranking, and then I can click on into here and I can see all the different organic keywords that are showing up, and then I'll go for keywords within usually a lower difficulty that's within my domain rating. But again, it's still kind of hit or miss, and I try to just spend more time focusing less on just targeting keywords and more focusing on helping the end user and giving them really the best stuff that I know about. All right, so next thing we got is the Yoast SEO, and Yoast SEO is something that we probably don't need to talk about. It's obviously an SEO plugin for WordPress. I think it's a great tool. It lets you change title tags, meta descriptions. It lets you help set up your indexing correctly. If you get the pro version, you get to do 301 redirects. I don't really recommend you get the pro version, but if you want to, you can. That's another tool that I bought that I just wanted to try out, and not really worth it, but I got it, and I can let you know that you can get something like EPS redirects, which is a free plugin for redirects, and you can use that instead. But if you want to use Yoast SEO Pro, go ahead if it makes you feel better. The only thing I really use it is just to change titles, meta descriptions, and set up all the indexation on a website. WPSSO is a great tool. It helps mark up all your images on WordPress with schema markup. It also lets you adjust your OG data or your open graph data. So when you share something on social media, you can say, hey, Facebook, I want you to share this post, I want you to say this thing about it, and I want you to share this image, or I want you to share this video. And that's what we'll share, and it's pretty cool. Scrapebox is a tool that's very, very robust, and it's something that I've used and not used over the years. The thing about it is that unless you're spending a lot of time really kind of figuring out how you can use it to help people, it's not going to be too beneficial. What I mean by that is it's not anything except robots and scrapers. So it's sometimes hard to be very targeted with what you're doing, because you usually end up doing bulk activities, which ends up usually making the quality of what your work is suffer. So like, let's say I wanted to contact 1,000 people through contact forms. It's usually going to be a bunch of random websites. It's going to be hit or miss whether or not those people get contacted, which again, you have to think about how helpful is that going to be for people, and how soon are you going to burn out your resources doing that? That's why I like using things like Pitchbox a little bit better, because you can be a little bit more targeted. You can have people go in and be like a VA to go and really kind of clean up what you're doing, where Scrapebox is, unless you're very good at what you're doing and you know exactly how to filter and do all these proxy stuff and you know how to scrape correctly, it can be a tool that is just one of the biggest spammy tools that you're probably going to end up using. So it's a fun tool to use, but it's also a huge time waster in my opinion if you don't know what you're doing or if you're trying to learn how to use it. GT Metrics is a great tool because it allows you to see what your page speed is on a website. And this is something I do in phase 2, is if I see that a website has about a 90% bounce rate or over a 70% bounce rate, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go plug it into GT Metrics, because I want to see what is the page speed of this website. Obviously, if there's a lot of people bouncing off a website, then it's usually because the page speed is very slow. So if I go plug this website in and I see that there's a 70% bounce rate or a 1% conversion rate, that kind of thing, I'm going to go see what the page speed is on this. And I actually test this. I know that this page has about a 6-second load time. And because it has a 6-second load time, that's something I want to fix. And that's why I put these issues early on over here. Like bounce rate is one of the most important things, and conversion rate is one of the most important things, rather it being all the way over here. Because if you have a high bounce rate and a low conversion rate, it doesn't matter what keyword you're ranking for. It doesn't matter if I get 13,000 clicks for this keyword, because if I have a 94% bounce rate and a 0.1% conversion rate, guess what? I'm not making any money, and I'm not really helping anybody. So you want to think about that, and this is really why I think phase 2 is so important, because you can really just address the top 10 pages on a website and the top 10 pages are usually where most of your traffic is going to be coming from. You can see all these pages right here are where 90% of the traffic is coming from at this website. If I can fix these issues here, I've already improved the marketing for this website and this online business probably by 100%, if not way, way more. And that could be as simple as just improving the page speed and perhaps putting some sort of opt-in on these pages. That's how easy SEO can be. I've spent years doing this stuff, and I'm telling you, there has been multiple projects that I literally just went in, improved the page speed, put call to actions on the website, and I'm not kidding you, within a day, the conversions went up 100%. Like, that's insane. But again, if you're looking at this just from like this perspective, which is like, heading tags are missing, or there's no contact page, or there's no fav icon, it's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant compared to the things that you could fix that are going to be the huge issue. Now, some websites are going to have no data here. They're not even going to have analytics installed. So how are you going to even be able to look at this stuff? Which is why you do phase 1 first, which is setting up all the basics. Then you move into phase 2, then you do some keyword research, then you move into phase 4 and start doing opt-ins, conversion rate, and authority building. And this strategy here really is a great way to help businesses on a level that most people can't even touch. So let's get back to the list. We got Grammarly, great tool, just gives you spell checking and it lets you look at all your stuff from a grammar perspective. Not much else to talk about there. It's a plugin you can put on Chrome. Google structured data testing tool is great for looking at schema markup. And if we look at schema markup on a website, most websites don't have their markup done correctly. And if you want to see, there's actually a video I did, a live stream. Somebody donated me $10 in chat on one of my streams, and I said, hey, I'll do all your markup for you. And over 60 minutes, I went in, I marked up all their pages using this tool and this other tool right here, the JSON LD plugin. So if you guys want to check that out, go to my YouTube channel, just look up live schema markup, Chase Reiner, you'll find it. Whitespark is a cool tool because it lets you see the citations on a website, and the citations are really just your name, your address, your phone number being mentioned on other relevant websites, and this is really just for local stuff. I've seen many companies use this tool combined with something like Citation Builder Pro, which is going to give you the ability to just buy a service for people to go build your citations for you. And I've seen my websites, other people's websites, tons of websites rank higher in the maps, rank higher locally just by getting their name, their address, and their phone number mentioned on other relevant websites, locally, niche specific, and then even more generic type websites like having a Facebook page with your name, address, phone number, having a Yelp page. All that stuff needs to be consistent. It needs to be mentioned more than your competitors, and it usually will help you a lot. All right, so that's all of the tools. Besides, obviously, I said anything that has to do with video. That's all the tools that I still use. We're going to now talk about all the tools that I don't use. Now, these are tools that you might use, and just because I don't use them doesn't mean that you shouldn't use them too. It just means that I don't use them anymore. And for the most part, a lot of these tools are great tools. I just don't really get value from them, and I'm going to tell you why. And hey, everybody in chat, sorry I haven't been able to talk to you guys too much. I've been trying to power through this as fast as possible. I know this is getting a little bit long, so I do apologize about that. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Rainman. Welcome, Chad. Thank you guys all for being here. So let's go back into here. So one of the tools I don't really use anymore, and I actually don't use, is MailChimp, just because I don't do email marketing. My open rates are like 1%. My open rates on MiniChat are like 70%. So what am I going to get people to opt into? And obviously with MiniChat, you can get people to opt into your email, you can get people to opt into your text messaging, but I don't want people opting into a mailing list because most people look at emails and they just throw them away. They just delete them. And it really lowers the value of your brand, in my opinion. Same thing if you hand somebody a business card these days. Most people associate business cards with the trash can, because what do you do when you get a business card? Do you put it in your wallet? maybe sometimes you do just to make it so you don't make the other person feel bad, but usually at some point you're going to take that business card, you're going to go, what am I doing with this? And you're going to throw it in the trash can. So same thing with MailChimp, same thing with email marketing. Most people look at their email and they'll be, by the second or third time they see an email from you, no matter how valuable it is, most of the time they're going to delete it and they're going to think of your brand as a lower value item. I would much rather get people to opt in to something like MiniChat or Snapchat or text messaging, because they're going to look at my brand. They're going to go, oh, this is Chase hitting me up on Facebook. And it's going to be from my actual profile. Or they're going to say, hey, this is Chase hitting me up on Snapchat or on my phone on a text message. That's how I want to help people. I don't want to help people by, sending them an email that they're already getting hundreds of thousands of every day. I would much rather have a personalized approach where people think of me differently, because I'm getting them to opt into something that they're not feeling like they're being attacked on, like they are constantly feeling like they're being attacked on every day through email. ClickFunnels is another thing that I stopped using, mainly because why use ClickFunnels when you can use something like Squarespace or really anything that's a website builder that can do the same thing that ClickFunnels does. There's obviously some capabilities within ClickFunnels that you can use that are kind of cool, like being able to use like autoresponders and opt-in pages that people can buy through and that kind of stuff if you don't know how to set that up on other websites. But either way, you're going to have to learn how to set that up somewhere, so might as well set it up on your own assets. I'm not a big fan of building my brand on other people's assets unless I have to. I don't even like building my brand on YouTube, because generally I would much rather get people just going straight to my website. However, you do have to think about your end goal and how many more people can you help by being on these platforms. So you kind of have to pick your demons, I guess. But for the most part, ClickFunnels is one of those things that I just don't think is really worth paying for anymore. Cognitive SEO was a tool that I used to use. It had a content analyzer that gave you ideas on what your content should include, so that you're actually going to be able to rank higher by taking average keywords and then putting them in your page. I don't use that anymore because it was like $300 a month, and I think that is way too much for just including keywords into a page. Most of the pages that I've been able to rank haven't been by me going and adjusting the keyword density, but rather by me creating really good content that people are going to like, and really just going over and beyond what is already out there. SEMrush is a tool that I used to use all the time. I think Ahrefs is way better. It blows SEMrush out of the water. I know a lot of people love SEMrush and they swear by it. I don't use it anymore. I just think it's a waste of time. It's still a good tool. If Ahrefs didn't exist, I'd probably use SEMrush. But since Ahrefs does, I would much rather use that. If you're brand new, you can't afford Ahrefs because it is a little bit more expensive, go with SEMrush. But for the most part, I would much rather prefer Ahrefs. And again, if you're in SEO or you're doing marketing and Ahrefs and Screaming Frog are the only two tools you have to pay for, I would recommend getting those two tools, because it's not a huge investment in comparison to, let's say, another profession where you have to buy thousands and thousands of dollars in tools and all kinds of stuff. Let's say you're a moving company, you have to buy trucks and you have to buy liability insurance, all this stuff. For SEO, I mean, you're looking at $150 a month for Ahrefs. Screaming Frog is $150 a year, and maybe like something like Cora or some other little tools. Streamlabs is $19 a month. That's nothing compared to some other professions that you're gonna have to put thousands and thousands of dollars in. And then also the equipment usually will go bad and you have to get new equipment. This is like, zero liability. Next, we have KW Finder, which is a keyword research tool. Obviously, I don't use that anymore because I use SEMrush. I don't use SEMrush. I use Ahrefs. So that's that. KW Finders used to be a cool tool because it gave you keyword difficulty, and I thought that was a really cool thing. But Ahrefs does that now, and so I'm going to use that. Moz, I used that like 3 years ago. I don't know people who. Let me know in chat how many of you guys actually still use Moz. We'll look at chat right here and see. If you guys still use Moz, I'd be very surprised, because that tool is super expensive and it was such a bad graphical user interface in my opinion. I looked at that tool and I'm just like, what the heck is going on here? Just weird data, I use it right now. Okay, well, I'm sorry to talk bad about it, Chad, but I just do not like the way Moz is set up. So we'll just skip that. But Answer the Public's another cool tool that, I thought it was cool, but what it does is it just kind of just gives you keywords, and you can get keywords anywhere. Most keyword tools I think are overdone these days. I just use Ahrefs because it just gives the best data. LSI Graph just gives you related keywords, more just keyword data. I don't use it. Schema app is a way overdone app that just provides you way too much interface for marking up pages, and I spent a lot of time learning that tool for no reason, because you go in there and you start marking up 5,000 different things on your pages, and it's way too much. SEO Profiler used to be a tool. Some of you guys who probably see my older tutorials, my very first tutorial, I used SEO Profiler, and it's because it did rank tracking, did keyword tracking, which if you guys seen my other video, I just use Search Console for keyword tracking now, or my benchmark stuff here, because I don't really care about all my keywords. I really just care about my main keywords, really. So I just usually track those through Search Console and through my benchmarks, which is free. But back then I used SEO Profiler to check all that stuff. It would give you ideas on what you could do to improve your pages. But again, just so much data that really isn't necessary. So I don't use that anymore. But if you guys use that, again, any of these tools that you use, don't take my opinion and take it to the bank, because it might be that it really does help you, and it does help the way you work. It might give you results that you're looking for. And so if that's what is helping you, then use it. Don't use my opinion as a way to stop doing things. Do what works for you. I'm just giving you an idea. BuzzSumo is a tool that just kind of gives you ideas on what content you should target. Ahrefs has that very similar thing called Content Explorer, so I just use that now. The next thing we got is Sumo Me, which is just a social sharing. Just gives you the ability to heat map tracking and sharing on your website. You can just get native tools for this. You just plugins. I don't think it's necessary, and you have to pay for it. It's just it also lowers your page speed. I just don't do it. Lucky Orange does screen recordings for people who are on your website. It does click tracking, all the kind of stuff that Sumo Me does. I don't use that anymore. Also really slows down your website. Hotjar does the same thing. It also slows down your website. So that's all the stuff I don't use. Now we're going to go into the technology I use. And sorry this is taking so long, guys. If you have again any questions and I'm not getting to them, I know there's people talking in chat. I will get back to them at the end of this video. Just put stars next to your questions so I can go and just quickly scroll through that at the end. But today we're going to be talking about, now we're going to be talking about the technology I use for the setup that I have, the computer that I have, the microphone, everything. And so you guys can actually use all these links to go and buy this stuff if you'd like. I have affiliate links on Amazon. If you do buy this stuff, helps me out. I get like a small percentage, but it doesn't really matter to me. I did put affiliate links there though. That's just a disclaimer. So the first thing we got is the Sony a7 III camera, and that's what I'm using to stream this right now. It's an expensive camera. It's about $2,000, but it gives you a pretty good, you can see here, this is a pretty good quality stream. You don't usually see streams that are very good quality. What you'll usually see is something more like this. Let me just give you an idea. I can actually change this camera to this camera, and this is what you would. And again, this isn't terrible. You can see here, this camera is still pretty good. This was a $80 camera. It's a Logitech HD 1080p, and it's not bad. But at the same time, you can't really compare that to something that's a professional camera like this. It's a lot more expensive to set up, and it's a lot harder to set up. But if you get to the point where you want to do really professional streams, this is the type of setup you'd want to do. However, even if you just started doing streams like this would be a way better start than not doing any streams at all. If you can start streaming what you do, how you want to help people, you're gonna really be able to get past your competition and get clients at a way faster rate. Whether you're working for a lawn supply company, whether you're working for an SEO company, whatever you're doing. It's you can't compare not streaming to streaming, because streaming is literally the future of being able to be as transparent as possible. So anyways, going back to the camera, it's about $2,000. If you want an HD, I showed you the difference between the two. If you want a Logitech HD 1080p, it's only about $80. I also have a electronic stand-up desk that I don't even know how this is possible, but most stand-up desks are super expensive. From Costco, you can get a desk like this. And the cool thing about a desk like this is that it has, I'll actually show you with my other camera really quick. It has for, I think it's $400, and they deliver it. You get a touch capability where you can just press this button and it will lower and put the desk down. And like, it's a glass, it has a drawer. It's a nice desk, and most stand-up desks you look at on Amazon are thousands of dollars, and they aren't even close to what this does. So I would definitely recommend getting a stand-up desk because it does help. I don't use it enough, but when I do need it, it is nice to have. Next thing we got the dual screen monitors in my custom built PC, so I will show you what that looks like. So here we got the 2 dual screen monitors. Now these are 144 Hz refresh monitors and hertz monitors, and what that means is if you're going to be doing gaming, these are great. They're about $200 each. If you're not going to be doing gaming, because I thought I was going to do a gaming career, they're not necessary. But they are very nice if you want to be running games at a very fast refresh rate, which is really good for like first-person shooter type games, that kind of thing. This custom-built PC here, as you can see, this thing ran me about $4,000, which is not necessary. You can see what it looks like. It's pretty dope. It's got a pretty nice capture card in it. It's got some really good RAM. It's got liquid cooling, but it's not necessary for doing streaming, that kind of thing, unless you really want to use this for more like gaming type stuff, which obviously I messed up because I don't really do that type of stuff, but yeah. And then obviously I have a tripod here for the camera. I have some key lighting, as you can see, and then I have a stand right here, a mic stand with a Rode mic, and then a keyboard, mouse. So that's pretty much the setup. If you guys want to know how to use all this, I mean, I create a separate tutorial for how to do the setup for all this, but it's not incredibly difficult. Let me just put the monitor back, the source back to my camera. Okay, so I also have a Bose speaker. That's where I play most of my music on. I have a mat. You guys can look at it all. It's whatever. Last thing we got is just some tools for health, and I do a lot more than what you would see in here. This is just 4 tips, but these are the main things. So meditation is really important. It's something that I often overlook, but if you download the Headspace app, it's a lot easier to do. You just open it up. They give you alerts as well. You just do 10 minutes of meditation. Do it in the morning, maybe at night. It's super, super good for you, and it kind of helps center yourself, helps you be more relaxed when you're talking to people, that kind of thing. Daily cardio, so I'm actually going to, after this, go jump on the treadmill. I think it's really important to break a sweat every day. Try to center yourself by kind of like getting out of yourself in a way, and I think sweating is one of the best ways to do that. The other thing that I attribute a lot of my success to as well is I used to have really bad acid reflux, stomach problems, bloating, that kind of thing. And I started taking these digestive enzymes. And these are really cool because what they do is once you get past the age about 30 or 40, your body stops producing enzymes, especially if you're on a really bad diet, if you're used to just eating really bad junk food. And so what this does is it just really gives you the ability to digest your food. And I take about 1 to 2 of these with every meal. They're a little bit expensive, but you start taking them and you feel more energetic. It actually helped cure my depression. I was really sad a lot of the time because I think all the reflux I was having, I wasn't absorbing my nutrients properly. And now, I eat a less strict diet, less healthy diet, but I take these enzymes and I feel a lot better. I feel like I have a lot more energy. I feel like I can be more helpful towards people. And, I just think it's a really great thing to do if you if you have problems with your stomach, or if you have a problem, if you feel kind of bad after you eat, these digestive enzymes are super helpful. And also drinking apple cider vinegar as well, or taking hydrochloric acid, HCl, after you eat can also help you digest your food. So if you're on, like, I used to be on acid reflux medication, which actually isn't medication. What it does is it just removes the stomach acid in your stomach, which you don't want, because the less stomach acid you have, the reflux that you get is actually worse. And the more stomach acid you have, it actually helps break down your food, and it helps actually close off the valve, signals to this valve in your stomach to close when you're eating and when you're digesting. And so the more you reduce the acid in your stomach, the more that valve opens, and you get worse reflux in the long run. So after about 2 months of me taking this medicine, I actually had worse reflux than when I started, and I was constantly had a hoarse throat. It was always sore. I had a lot of heart palpitations, a lot of anxiety, because I just had so many problems going on with my stomach and my digestion. And then one other thing that I do is I wake up every morning and I start subliminally programming my mind by listening to other people who are healthy. And I listen to this podcast on YouTube. It's called Heal. And I left a link to it, and you can listen to these. They're really cool. They're just different doctors and people who are on different diets, like paleo or vegan or raw diets, and they talk about the science behind why they do their diets, why they're participating in certain activities. And I found that by listening to this every morning, right when I wake up, I'll be in the shower, I'll just start playing it. It really does help me be more strict about the things that I choose to do. It helps me, again, subliminally program my mind to become more conscious of the things that I put in my body. It helps remind me of the things that I need to do. And I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who are healthy, because I think the core center, again, of all these SEO tools and everything that you do should be really revolved around you being a healthy person and helping other people live their lives in a healthy way through what you do. So whether you're helping somebody with nutrition or whether you're helping with somebody with their website, you should be reducing something for them that's a problem, and you should be helping contribute to a positive thing in somebody's life as well as your own. So that's pretty much it for this, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll answer some questions now. For any of you who have questions, I see only a couple people who put stars. So if you guys want to ask questions right now, please put some stars next to your question and we'll just go over it. Andre says, what is the cheaper one? And I unfortunately don't know what you were asking about, so I can't really answer that question. And I don't really see any other questions, but again, I do enjoy all of you being here. I appreciate you all very much. And I hope to see a lot of you in the future videos. And if you have any questions in the future, if you have anything that you need, please don't hesitate to contact me. My oh, I forgot to turn on the header's not working for some reason. That's weird. Well, my phone number is right here. I'll just make it larger. That's weird. It's not. Oh, there it is. So my phone number is right over there. And you can see it's 805-453-3586. For some reason, I'm not getting text messages on my phone, but if you give me a call, I may not answer, but you can leave me a voicemail. And usually I'm open to getting on the phone with people and helping them out. I may not be able to help you out with what you're looking for, but I can definitely give you an opinion. And again, my goal is to try to help as many people as possible. So if you have any questions, you're looking to get extra help, you're trying to take your game to the next level, I don't know, maybe you have a client, just give me a call and I'll see what I can do. Leave me a message. If I don't answer, I might not answer. But alternatively, send me an email. And I have a contact page on my website at chasereiner.com if you want to send me any questions. and I'll try to get back to you. The worst place to try to get a hold of me is on Facebook, because most of my stuff on Facebook is unfortunately automated, because I can't I can't talk to everybody. I have a lot of people on Facebook. But if you give me a call on my phone or you send me an email, usually I will get back to you pretty quickly. Anthony says, what do you think about Money Robot? I don't know anything about it. I've heard about it, but I don't know. Thanks for the interesting stream. First time here today. We'll join future ones. Oh, thanks for joining, Helen. Truth Seeker says, kill your TV as well. The worst thing for your mind, stop watching reality TV shows, conflicts on screen. I also think it is important to relax to a certain degree, but again, if you're spending too much time being unbalanced in what you're doing and you're not contributing to others, then you're going to long-term be unhappy, because TV is great to a certain degree, but at a certain point, if it's taking time away from what you could be using to be helping others, you're going to be unhappy. That should be the end goal. So thank you guys all for joining me today. I do appreciate you all. Again, it would really help me out if you wanted to give back, and go to my post. The link's in the description. Leave a comment on this post. By leaving a comment on this post, I just get more user-generated comments, more user-generated signals, and what that does is just helps the post do better on Google or wherever else. So again, thank you all for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon. And until I do, happy marketing, happy SEOing. Bye.